In this video, I'll walk you through 5 easy Europe itineraries that actually work, with logistical routes, realistic pacing, and a great mix of highlights for first-time visitors. These aren't the only ways to plan a trip, but they're some of the simplest and most reliable options if you want a smooth and enjoyable first experience in Europe. And at the risk of using a YouTube cliché, the final itinerary is one that almost no one expects, but it's one of the easiest and most enjoyable ways to experience Europe on your first trip. I'm Roger from priceoftravel.com. Let's get started. If you've only got 7 or 8 days on your first Europe trip, London and Paris, along with the next itinerary coming up, are your 2 best options. I recommend starting in London, especially for your first visit. It's just a little easier to ease into Europe there unless you're fluent in French. Everything works the way you expect, it's incredibly organized, and you don't have to think about language at all. Spend 3 or 4 nights in London, then take the Eurostar train to Paris for another 3 or 4 nights. Between these 2 cities, you're covering maybe half of the most famous sites in all of Europe. You've got royal history, iconic architecture, world-class museums, incredible neighborhoods, and some of the best food on the continent, all on one very efficient route. And in my opinion, both of these cities absolutely live up to the considerable hype. They're famous for a reason. You won't feel like you flew across the Atlantic for something underwhelming. Both also offer great shopping, lively neighborhoods, and plenty to do in the evenings, so your days don't end just after sightseeing. And after a few days navigating London, Paris will feel surprisingly easy even if you don't speak a word of French. The Eurostar takes just over 2 hours from city center to city center, so you don't waste a travel day. No airports, no baggage drama, you have breakfast in London and lunch in Paris. I've answered thousands of first-time Europe itinerary questions over the years, and this is the route I probably recommend more than any other for a 1-week trip. It's exciting, it's manageable, and it just works. And if you want more detail, I've got a very in-depth video on this exact itinerary, including where to stay and efficient daily planners to get you started, and I'll link that in the description below. Pro tip, book your Eurostar tickets at least a month in advance. The prices can be surprisingly low if you plan ahead and surprisingly high if you don't. The other classic first-time Europe itinerary that works perfectly in 7 or 8 days is Rome, Florence, and Venice, often called Italy's Big 3 for a very good reason. If London and Paris feel a little too easy or too tame for you, going straight to Italy is a bit more of an adventure in the best possible way. This route is pure classic Europe, ancient ruins, Renaissance art, dramatic piazzas, canals instead of streets, and it feels cinematic almost every hour of the day. Spend about 3 nights in Rome, 2 in Florence, and 2 in Venice. The high-speed trains connect to each city in 2 hours or less, so you're never wasting an entire day in transit. Rome can feel chaotic at first. Traffic, crowds, layers of history everywhere you look, but that intensity is part of what makes it unforgettable. There's simply nothing else like it. Florence is your calm and rewarding stop in between. It's compact, beautiful, and filled with world-famous art. It's also the perfect place to slow down a bit and enjoy Tuscan cuisine before moving on. Venice will absolutely be crowded during the day, there's no sugarcoating that, but there's nothing like it anywhere on Earth. And here's what many first-timers don't realize, about half the crowds are day trippers and cruise passengers. If you stay overnight on the main island, you'll have peaceful mornings and surprisingly relaxed evenings after most visitors leave. Each city is connected by fast, simple trains, English is widely spoken in the tourist areas, and the food alone makes this itinerary worth it. This is another route I recommend constantly to first-time visitors who want that immediate "I'm really in Europe" feeling. Pro tip, book your high-speed Italian train tickets a few weeks in advance. They're dramatically cheaper when purchased early. Now, if you've got more than 7 or 8 days, you could combine those first 2 itineraries or do something like this next one for even more variety. Start in Paris for 3 or 4 unforgettable nights where you'll have time to hit the highlights at a comfortable pace, including what I think is the best hop-on, hop-off bus route in the world and a stunning 1-hour Seine cruise at sunset. From Paris, take a high-speed train down to Nice for 2 or 3 days to experience the most interesting parts of the French Riviera. Nice is a great stop on its own, but it's even better because it's only about 25 minutes by train from both Cannes and Monaco. Those are 2 easy and worthwhile day trips, and Monaco in particular is absolutely stunning, with one of the most beautiful harbors in the world and the famous Monte Carlo casino district. After Nice, you can take a quick flight to Venice or a slower but scenic train ride if you prefer, and then spend your remaining time in Venice, Florence, and Rome as described in the previous itinerary. I wouldn't plan more than 2 nights in Venice. It's quite small and you'll see the main highlights fairly quickly, and you may be ready for a change after the daytime crowds. If you've got extra time in Florence, there are excellent day trips available. Pisa is an easy half-day visit, and the Cinque Terre can work if you plan carefully. Not everyone wants to go from one big city to the next for their entire trip, so this next itinerary combines culture and history with some of the most beautiful scenery not just in Europe, but arguably in the world. It's a route where you can slow down, breathe a bit, enjoy the experience instead of feeling like you need to maximize every hour with famous sights. Start by flying into Paris and spending 3 or 4 nights there. It's the ideal place to get used to Europe and some of its quirks while having some of the best meals of your life. From Paris, take a scenic train ride into Switzerland, ideally to the Interlaken area, which offers some of the most dramatic alpine views you'll ever see. Snow-capped peaks, waterfalls, turquoise lakes, it almost feels unreal. You could spend 3 days in the Interlaken region, and if you have the time and budget, add 2 nights in Lucerne. Switzerland is expensive and there's no way around that, but even 2 or 3 total days in the Alps is absolutely worth it. From Lucerne, it's about a 5-hour train ride to Munich, arguably Germany's most pleasant and easiest city to visit. Spend 2 or 3 days enjoying Bavarian culture, beer gardens, historic squares, and maybe even the BMW Museum if that appeals to you. Your final stop is Salzburg, Austria, less than 2 hours away by another scenic train ride. It's Sound of Music country, even more beautiful in person than you'd expect, and home to one of Europe's most charming old town centers. It's also Mozart's birthplace, so there's music everywhere. This is an incredibly scenic itinerary that balances culture and natural beauty, and it's easy to customize depending on your schedule. You can fly home from Salzburg or grab a short flight back to Paris, just make sure you book into the same airport you're departing from. For our final first-time Europe itinerary, and this is the one most people never think about even though they probably should, consider a one-way Mediterranean cruise. If anyone in your group has mobility concerns, or even if they don't, a cruise can be one of the easiest and sometimes cheapest ways to experience Europe. The simplest version is to fly into Barcelona and spend 2 or 3 days there first. It's an easy city to adjust to the time zone, explore great neighborhoods, enjoy incredible food, and get comfortable before boarding your ship. Then you unpack once, and for the next 6 to 10 days, you'll wake up in a different famous port almost every morning. Stops might include Marseille or Provence in France, Rome or Naples in Italy, maybe Sicily, and many itineraries finish in or near Venice. Yes, you'll likely take organized bus tours at some of the stops, so your sightseeing can be more surface level than staying multiple nights. But for a first trip, especially if you want a broad introduction, that can actually be a benefit. Cruises bundle your accommodation, transportation, and meals into one price. When you compare that to booking multiple hotels and long-distance trains, they can be surprisingly affordable. It's not the traditional way people imagine their first Europe trip, but it's efficient, low stress, and lets you experience multiple countries without constantly packing and repacking. Don't overlook it. Needless to say, any of these itineraries can and should be customized to fit your schedule, tastes, and budget. But even if you followed one of them almost exactly, you wouldn't regret it. These are battle-tested routes that deliver world-class sightseeing with maximum efficiency. I also have another video covering 11 additional Europe itineraries, most of them completely different, so if you're still weighing your options, that one should give you even more ideas. And if you prefer reading through things at your own pace, I've got a full article version of these itineraries on priceoftravel.com with maps and links. I'll put that in the description below. If you found this helpful, give it a like so I know to make more Europe planning guides like this. And if you're new here, subscribe. I've got a lot more coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.